Hello and welcome to Basslines. My guests today, joining us once again, have the longest running TV show in history of its kind. And they're here from Fitchburg, Massachusetts. So get a cup of tea, cozy up, whatever you got to do to enjoy this. But they've stayed with me for a second segment. Here from Fitchburg, Massachusetts, from the show Barbara and You, our technical director, Robyn Comeau, and the host of Barbara and You, in fact, it's your brainchild, Barbara Foster. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We're
Okay.
having a great time. I hope you are.
Oh, we could do this all day long. So many things. We will never cover everything.
No.
But I want to start a little bit by talking about community television, your role in it as sort of the heartbeat of your community, and how you get young people involved or other guests. So can you talk a little bit about how, just encourage people, what can you, if you're interested in being on community television, what does it have for you? How do you get involved in it?
Well, let me go back to when I started on TV with a cable company hiring me, and I actually got paid. Wasn't like Boston payment, but I got a little bit paid.
Yeah.
And when that was years before public access existed.
Yes.
So when we at the cable station heard about Fitchburg was having their own, I think you might have been the first one in the area.
Fitchburg was,
And
I believe
yeah,
so.
I'm pretty sure it was. But we kind of looked down our noses at them. We were professionals, and what do they know?
It's not real TV, that
Right.
sort of thing.
And
Yes.
the people who got it started were just remarkable, determined, knew what they were doing, did a great job. I've been through quite a few general managers in
Yes,
the years
right.
I've been there. We're never sure exactly what. It was about 20, it's over 20 years now, I think, that I've been at FATV.
They started, I want to say, in 1987, because they a couple of years ago had their 35th anniversary.
Okay,
so.
well, there were years that,
Yeah.
I hate to tell you this, but there were years when we at cable thought we were the big shots and you guys were nothing. Well, I've learned a lot since then. But so the day that the cable company decided we're not going to do local programming anymore, I figured 20 years is good enough. Anyway, I have a great respect for public access at all three towns in our area, which is Fitchburg, Leominster, and Lunenburg, but all over the country.
Yes.
It serves such a wonderful purpose because you hear things, you know people that you can't get on national TV.
Right.
And I don't profess to be NBC, and you agreed with that. Yes. But the camaraderie and the hard work that is put in, all by volunteers, and that it's open to anybody. You might have to pay some dues. You might be asked to run a camera, but it's open to anyone who lives or works in that community.
Yes.
And it's just a great asset. And I know, in Massachusetts there are a lot of public access. I don't know how it is all over the country.
There are a lot of stations.
Yeah.
I mean, in Wisconsin alone, we're on a server that downloads 49 stations download from them. I think it's Wisconsin.
Wow.
Anyway, they're
That's a
all
lot.
over
Yeah.
the place. And in talking to these stations, some of them are very interested in making a really great station. All of them are lacking funding.
Right.
And they're all lacking help. So if you are interested in learning anything about television, community television is, I use community television, public access, they're one and the same. Pick up the phone, call your local station and say, I'd like to volunteer.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What can I learn to do? I remember when we first started filming, 15 years ago or something like that here, they trained us on how to edit our own shows.
Yep.
And they spent hours just sitting there with us saying, here's how you run this software, here's how you edit. And they gave us ideas and they connected us with people, right? I had a producer, I had cameramen. I never would have had that on my own otherwise. And so if you're willing to either produce good content or be involved in creating that, especially if you're young, although people of all ages are welcome, I think there is a value to community TV or public access TV, and you're absolutely right. You get shows that you would never get somewhere else.
Right.
This entire show, this Basslines show, was developed for Don Baldini as a way to sort of share an oral history. He had an incredible career, and now it has morphed into, now that we've lost Don, unfortunately, it has morphed into an arts and entertainment kind of program as a legacy for Don Baldini. Now,
Right.
even though he played with very, very famous people, we never would have gotten that time on national television.
Right. Oh, never.
And yet everywhere I go, somebody says, oh, I saw those Basslines shows. Those are great. I mean, how did you get those people to talk to you? So I don't go up to them and say, I have to talk to you, but I come close. And one of the things that's very interesting is that, and you mentioned this at the end of the last show, in the very beginning as a host, you have to ask people, you know, who can I interview and will they be okay? And you're trying to get your interview chops going a little bit, right? But then one interview begets another, begets another, begets another, because everybody seems to know somebody who wants to be on your show. So the first one I want to ask you about is John Davidson. Robyn's got something to say about this, I bet.
He was always fun. He was part of my childhood because he was host of, I mean, that's incredible. I love that show. I love the Hollywood Squares. So you always knew who he was.
Hollywood Squares, yeah.
Yeah, he's just so fun. And he has that same sense of humor and mischievous. He still strikes me at that. And I don't remember how old he is now. He's 80, 78 or 80.
Maybe 78.
I know he was just a couple years younger than you, but yeah, still has that.
We don't talk about my age. You know that.
He's older than you. He must be much older than you.
There are whole countries who don't pay attention to a number, and I'm in favor of that.
There you go.
But you mentioned comedy, which led me to think about the author George Plimpton, who you interviewed, who did a comedy thing at Caesar's Palace. Did you talk about that in your interview or not?
No,
I Wikipedia'd him, and I came up with it. Yes. Oh. Apparently, he liked to infiltrate professional lifestyles and then sort of write about them as an amateur. Like he played with the New York Philharmonic as an amateur and then wrote about it.
With typewriter in hand, Plimpton has played golf for the Boston Bruins, basketball with the Celtics, pitched baseball for the Yankees, quarterbacked the Detroit Lions. He's even played with the New York Philharmonic.
Wow.
So,
okay.
But
he
did like 3 dozen
a wealthy
books.
family in England to begin with. And I thought him writing all those things he wrote for Sports Illustrated, and he was in Fitchburg training with the Boston Bruins, who used to train in Fitchburg.
Yeah.
And I thought, he'll grant me an interview. Look at what all he's done. No. He did not want to do an interview. He tried to ignore me. How dare he?
Wow.
And I knew where he was staying. There was a Holiday Inn in Leominster at that time, and I knew he had to pass this TV studio where I was working and to get to the Civic Center. And I got him on the phone a couple of times, and he never said yes, and he never said no. He just was rudely polite, if there's any such term. So I parked myself at the door, the entry to the Civic Center, knowing what time he would be there for practice as their goalie for the Bruins.
Yeah.
So he could write about it for Sports Illustrated. And so we came in the door, and I started moving. He never broke pace. He's got tall, and he's got long legs, and I'm running to keep up with him. And I'm saying, I'm Barbara, I talked to you on the phone, and he says, yeah, I know who you are. And he would keep going, and I'm saying, well, when you go up from the Holiday Inn, you get up here, you got to pass my TV studio. We're still walking, we haven't stopped. Now he's ready to go down the stairs to the locker room. And I yelled, are you going to listen to me or not? And he said, where do you want me and when? So I told him where I wanted him and when. And he oozed charm. When the camera went on, he oozed charm. It was very nice, gave me a great interview. It was a coup for me because I've
never heard that one.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Ooh,
I know.
Fun.
That was a new story for me.
So maybe 2 years later, he was back in our area to speak at some public event.
Yeah.
And I got him on the phone, and I said, you probably don't remember me. He said, remember you? I thought you were going to follow me into the locker room. And that was before women reporters went in the locker room. So I went to I think I interviewed him a second time, and we even danced together at the event. So he was very nice. But he was blue blood European, and I could imagine. I didn't see any, but he was very confident of himself.
Yeah. You know, my mind turns to musicians, of course, because of the things we've talked about. And you told me a story about Buddy Rich, who is known, just like you said, this guy was one thing on camera and another off camera. Buddy Rich is known for being really difficult to work with, having a real attitude. Would you tell your story about Buddy Rich?
Well, I interviewed him, and you might not have heard this one either.
Yeah, I don't think I have
This
either.
was at Fitchburg State. I did some of my programs there when I was still with the cable company, and that's where he was performing, and I had always thought he was a great person, and
Fabulous drummer. Yeah, all of that, yeah.
So we're sitting across from each other like you and I are, and he's smoking. Back in those days, that's a long
Everybody
time ago.
smoked, yeah.
So he's smoking while I'm interviewing him, and he flips the cigarette over my shoulder.
From here, like
Yes.
Pink. Oh
Yes.
my goodness.
And I didn't let him rattle me. I went on with my interview.
It's like
But
you didn't get it
also,
stuck in your hair or something.
Dr.
Set you
Hook
on
and the
fire.
Medicine Show.
That one was fun.
Really?
They were ones that I thought might give me a hard time, because I'd heard one of them have a false eye, has this false eye, and that he's been known to take it out on an interview.
Oh, really? Oh.
But as it turned out, they
dear.
did their show first. All my teenage kids wanted to usher for the show because they knew who they were. And they did the interview with me afterwards. And my son said to them, "Why didn't you sing Freaker's Ball?" And they said, "Oh, you want to hear Freaker's Ball?" They got up and sang it for my son.
Oh, really?
And they were very polite. They were very polite. He didn't pull out his glass eye or anything.
Oh, my goodness.
But it's totally different. As you know, you meet a lot of people in your musical world and all your different worlds and all the jobs you do. There's surprises. Usually they're good ones.
Let's just look at the list,
I'd have
shall
to
we, folks?
look again. I haven't seen all of your interviews, don't have clips available, but that one,
You remember?
it's like you have a bunch of little kids around you and you're trying to calm them down so you can do your show. It's very cute.
Oh, I don't
They were
remember
just,
that
they were, again, mischievous. It was very cute. You're like, you're not supposed to talk right now, it's my turn. And it was just very cute how she...
You know who is on your list, now that I get to take a look at this long list of entertainers, sports figures, authors, other professionals? Dinah Shore. And the reason I'm asking you about Dinah Shore, besides the fact that it's Dinah Shore, is that our pianist Jim Argiro is also an arranger, a very good arranger, and one of his claims to fame is that his chart called Dinah is in Count Basie's book. So I have to ask you about Dinah Shore and Count Basie interviews. Would you tell us
I
about
don't have
those?
much to say about Count Basie. He plays a mean piano, but I don't remember a lot about him. Dinah Shore was appearing at a bookstore in Sears Town Mall, and she was promoting a cooking book, which she was known for. Well, I was married at the time, and my ex-husband loved Dinah Shore.
Oh boy.
You
don't sound happy about that,
I was going
Barbara.
to say, you see the change in person?
But he didn't go with me. He wasn't impressed with what I do, and he didn't always go with me, but he wanted to go see Dinah Shore.
Yeah.
And she was just very kind, and we talked about Burt Reynolds a little bit. I don't know if she was seeing him then or not, but she was just very nice. And she was just Dinah Shore, down to earth. Goodbye. Wasn't she the one that blew the kiss at the end
The
of
funny
her
part is
show?
you remind me of her.
Oh, thanks. I'll take that as a compliment.
Yes.
Never mind.
Let's see, who else did I want to ask you about? Oh, Freddie Fender. Do you remember the interview with Freddie Fender?
Yeah, but nothing outstanding about
outstanding?
it. It was, he was a typical nice person, and
Merle Haggard, he looked like a lot of fun. The picture with him.
Oh, there's Merle Haggard.
boy,
That was
Merle
him.
Haggard did not age well, though.
He was haggard.
Yes,
Poor Merle, he
Merle
was haggard.
He was.
Yes, he was.
He was.
So let's talk about
Actually,
this
there
for a
is a
second.
story about Merle Haggard.
Oh, good.
I
That
had to
doesn't
come and
surprise me.
interview him at the hotel because he was involved with a woman singer, and he did not want her to see me interviewing him.
Ah, interesting.
But he told me how he wrote the song, "Today I Started Loving You Again." He was married to the ex-wife of, I can't think of his name now, but anyway, she had been away and they'd been having problems. And then he picked her up at the airport when she came back from her trip, and he got the song in his head, "Today I Started Loving You Again."
No kidding.
That was cool.
Basslines is sponsored by Hug Your Money. So unique, it's patented. Financial coaching and more information at hugyourmoney.com.
This is sort of a blend of how local people can be involved in community TV and how it brought something to you. The story of Bruce in New Jersey. Do you know where I'm headed with this? Bruce in New Jersey introduced you to your clip, I believe, of To Tell the Truth.
Oh, yes.
So can you tell us about that?
I didn't know that even existed, that you could find a video of when I was on To Tell the Truth in 1975.
Yeah.
And was it
74.
74,
Yeah.
but you're right, Jessica
Yes.
hadn't been
Yep.
born yet. Yeah, 74. And I was in Florida at Disney World, and I got an email from this man named Bruce in New Jersey, who said he and his wife were watching what's it called, Buzzer TV.
Yep.
And
It's a game show, old game shows.
Oh,
and he saw me on To Tell the Truth, and when I stood up and said my identity and that I was from Fitchburg, Massachusetts, he was born and raised in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. I have no idea how he got in touch with me. I've communicated with him a few times because I sent him a copy of the show we did and all that, and thanked him. But I didn't know it even existed. I was stunned when we could actually see. And then Robyn did her beautiful editing job. And when I said I was from Fitchburg, Massachusetts, and I am the mother of 6 children,
At the time.
Gary Moore said, "Oh, must have been a lot of dribbling that went on at your house."
Yeah,
So
very quick.
That was good. He
Sure.
seemed to be a very nice person.
That was, you asked what we talked about on the way here, and that was one of the things, because it was her 50th anniversary of being on television.
I was just going to ask you about this part.
1974 to 2024. So her 45th show anniversary was a couple years prior, and I had known she had been on To Tell the Truth, but the clip didn't exist. I had Googled everything I could about it. I found out that it was Jolene Ammon. I found out Alan Alda. I knew the episode. I ended up getting in touch with Fremantle Productions to try to get her on the new To Tell the Truth.
Oh, that would be fun.
And we just lost touch and the person stopped responding, unfortunately.
that's
So,
too
and
bad.
I tried. I'm like, she's been on the air 45 years. Go look at her show. You need to have her on.
Yeah.
And we didn't. But I had looked up everything I could and never came up with a clip. And then this gentleman, it had just been released onto YouTube, and that's how we found it. Actually, Travis from FATV, he thought to go out and Google it again. I gave up. I was done. I'd done it 3 years before and thought it was gone. So,
But why, she's such a wonderful director for me. She never told me she tried and couldn't get any information on it. You would have been shouting.
I would have
to
told
me.
you if I had found it.
Right.
Yeah.
But she does so much work. I wouldn't enjoy doing my show as much without Robyn.
Oh, that's really nice. It's really nice.
Don't tell those other people.
I know, right?
I'm going to shift tack for a minute and ask you about this, which we will get all of the pictures that are in here on camera, but if we did them right now, we'll have too much glare. But this portfolio is amazing, and this is your modeling portfolio.
Yes.
So talk about shifting gears. Maybe somebody will think this is similar, but it's not. Favorite stories about modeling and how many
And this was
years
before
did you do
TV,
it,
right?
and-
Oh, yes. This was in Cincinnati. That picture was in Cincinnati, I think. Because I didn't do as much modeling after I moved to New England because I had inherited extra children and I was kind of a stay-at-home mom.
hold it up, but I don't
But
know.
like I said, I just happened to be photogenic, and people I worked at my daddy's sporting goods store, and people would say, "Oh, you're pretty. You ought to be a model." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure." And then one day you haven't heard this story, I don't think. I was just breezing through the yellow pages in the phone book. Remember phone books?
Sure.
They don't
Oh, yeah.
exist anymore.
Used to sit
And
on
I
them,
saw
yes.
an ad for a photographer who just put a question mark, "Call me," something like that. And I called him, and he said, "I'll make a deal with you." He said, I'll take photos of you that you can use to go to advertising agencies and see if they need a photographic model, if you'll allow me to use them to promote my business as a photographer."
Enterprising gentleman, yep.
But, I mean, I should have been, I don't scare easily. I mean, I was taking a big risk to go and meet with this man.
Photographer.
And
Yeah.
it turned
Yeah,
out,
yeah, let him take photos of you.
It turned out really great.
Well,
and I started literally knocking on the doors of advertising agencies.
Well, your instincts were good. And you ended up on the back of the phone book.
Yep, for 3 years in Cincinnati, I was on the back of the phone book. And when I used to work for a publishing house back in those days, and I always stopped at the same gas station to get my gas when I needed to. And the guy comes out of the station with the phone book under his arm, and he shoves it at me, and he says, "Is that you or not?" Like it had been bothering him for the longest while. That picture looks like Barbara,
Oh my gosh.
But who knew? And I'm a back cover girl. It was on the back page of the phone book, not the front page.
Only on the phone book. At
Nobody
Burger
got
King,
the front page, though.
For Burger King, you were
Oh,
front
that's
and center.
true. Those were TV commercials I did for Burger King. And they'd always give me a little boy and a little girl and a pretend husband. And it seemed like every time they wanted me to do a new shoot, the children had grown up, gone to school, the husband nobody could find. Story of my life. But anyway, so I did several commercials for them. And actually, they ran them in Florida as well. They were ran in Cincinnati and in Florida.
Robyn, do you ever have to produce commercials of any kind? I mean, at community TV, we just do sponsorships.
Promos for the
promos.
other shows,
Yep.
occasionally. It's not really, like I said before, I don't work for them. I'm a volunteer, so I do the things I want to do. I have another show. We have a political show, Fitchburg-Leominster area politics with Kevin Cormier, and we do all the debates every year for local.
Another thing that's great about community TV.
Right. Well, it's
All
the things that you
stuff.
can't get anywhere else. Nobody else. Boston isn't coming out to Fitchburg to cover. Although they do take the camera. FATV put a camera up in the steeple of the church.
Yeah, I called it Fat TV. I figured, if there's 3 cameras in the room and everyone adds 10 pounds, I'm on Fat TV.
There you go.
Yeah.
We've heard that. We've heard that Fat TV thing.
You did Big Boy.
Yeah, I did
stuff,
do Big
right?
Boy commercials too. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get all of this in.
We didn't. They didn't tell each other.
Look at these photos; are gorgeous.
I haven't opened that in a long time. I'm
Well,
surprised.
am I hitting something that hits a nerve? You remember a story?
That was at the Civic Center. I forget what was going on, but obviously it was a very windy day, and I was catching people as they went in and out of the Civic Center.
What's this one?
I don't remember, honestly.
Beautiful.
I did do a lot of hairstyle modeling also.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that was the change everyone noticed when we did the old.
Oh.
I found every old clip of every show opening I could, and that's what everyone commented on is the change in hairstyles over the last 45 years.
Yeah,
48
as a matter of
years.
fact, I did a montage like that too, and you can just see it. Let me ask you before we run out of time about another local celebrity. So you're from Fitchburg. Fitchburg and Leominster are sister towns. And it turns out Leominster is famous for the pink flamingo.
The lawn ornament,
Yeah, and you know Don Featherstone.
I've interviewed Don Featherstone and his wife many times. They're both deceased now. They wore a lot of pink. His wife was a seamstress. She made some of their shirts.
I think she made all of their clothes,
I
and they
think you're
matched
probably
every
right.
outfit.
Yes.
If you and any pictures of them, they matched, and she made every outfit. It was incredible.
But there's 2 people I want to brag about. Don Featherstone is one of them, because people need to know that he created the first pink flamingo. Yeah. The other one is Harvey Ball, who created the first smiley face.
Yes.
And I've interviewed Harvey Ball also, and neither one of them ever got extra pay that I know of. And they did, I mean, that's
You mean
big.
they never got credit for their...
No, it was for the company they worked for.
Yeah, Harvey Ball worked for an insurance company in Worcester, and I thought, this guy's going to be a great interview subject. Harvey Ball, who he created
The smiley face? Yeah, he should be fun,
He
right?
wasn't all that joyful, but he was a nice man. He was
put
a
it
nice
all
man.
in a sticker.
But now,
Right, it would all
but
in a
now
sticker.
you Google it, and it tells you that he's
good.
yeah,
That it was him.
That was
that's
him.
good.
Now Don Featherstone had a different example. I don't remember the year, but Disney was creating a new
Character?
character, a new video.
Cartoon.
And
Or
cartoon.
Animation, yeah.
Yeah, all of the above. And they had a pink flamingo in it, and they named it
Featherstone.
Featherstone.
And they flew Don Featherstone and his wife to Hollywood for the premiere. So that made me feel good.
Well, when you think about it, I mean, Featherstone was a perfect name for a pink flamingo.
No kidding.
So
Well,
interesting.
he
So
was
they
the
flew
art
him.
director for a plastics company. Because
Yep.
Fitchburg
Right.
and Leominster are known for being innovative with plastic companies at one time.
I understand they had a contest at one point about the flamingos where people would dress them up and send in pictures. I don't know what they won, but there was some sort of contest done nationally, and they got a few thousand, I think,
I've never-
That
entries.
doesn't surprise me. I've not heard of that, but it doesn't
Yeah, I
surprise
think
me.
so.
More often you might hear people sneaking into somebody's lawn and
And-
covering it with pink flamingos in the middle of the night.
Those were the things for sure.
The 1957 debut was underwhelming.
There was absolutely no reaction from anybody. And then when it hit 25 years old, it started to have a following. And on its 30th birthday, we found a lot of people having flamingo birthday parties. of which I went to many.
Then in 1997, on the Flamingo's 40th anniversary, Don held a photo contest.
And we had 1,800 entries. There were 3 categories: funny, beautiful, and most unusual.
Flamingos flocked in from all over the country.
A lot of people that were closet flamingo worshipers, I guess, and they came out, and I couldn't believe what some of the people did with flamingos.
Oh, I have one picture of the two of you at an Odd Couple play.
Oh, yes. Was that at the Mount?
Did you two confer?
No,
on this?
we
You're gonna
didn't. I'm
make
trying.
fun of me.
I'm trying to
I
remember
have
a
the
picture.
photo, and it says Odd Couple, and I'm thinking, they're not so odd. You know, and
We
then
had
I
gone,
realized, no,
so
they're at a
we
play.
do. She has a lot of local theater friends, and they're on her show frequently. All the different theater companies around us, and we go to their shows.
Yeah.
And that was one of them.
Are you gonna? Oh, I want to see this picture. Do you know
Yes.
what? I don't remember. Do
Is
you?
it one I took? It must have been one I took.
Oh, yeah,
I
you
don't
might
know,
have.
but
Unless
do
someone
art
snuck one.
selfies.
That's funny.
But that speaks a little bit to, you know, working together in the studio and becoming friends, right?
Yeah.
Were you friends before you worked
No.
together?
No. I don't even remember. Tell them how you did, how and why you came to Fitchburg to do it.
Now, I had a friend who wanted to do a yoga show, and I went to, like I said, 9 or so years ago, and they taught me how to edit video and gave me a camera and taught me how to use it, and I went out and filmed some yoga with my friend, and then that kind of went away, and then my friend with the political show, it was on Facebook, a group, and we had a lot of good conversation, and he wanted to turn it into a show, so I went in and taught myself how, I mean, they show you the basics, but I just went in every day for a couple of weeks and played with all the equipment until I felt comfortable, and then we started doing shows, and that was 8 years ago.
But why did you want to come to my show?
Well, you didn't have a director, and I wanted to direct.
Oh, he was. That's true. He was.
He had
leaving.
just
Yeah.
left, and you didn't have a director. FATV, as they had promised originally, was staffing her show for her.
In this day and age where everybody's got an iPhone and they just think, okay, I can produce anything on an iPhone, and you can.
You can.
But what you can really get from a community access station is access to real equipment, real studios, real lighting, and real knowledge. People who know, people who've come from broadcast TV, maybe retired, maybe just decided they wanted to do community TV instead, and they bring to the table something that is at a high level. And Barbara's a great example of that, of bringing this interviewing talent to community access TV. What about for you, Robyn? What do you think is next?
I don't know. I'm not going to stop with public access. We talked about the importance of it before. It's
And without me, you wouldn't have met John Davidson.
I would not have. I wouldn't have a picture with him.
All right, what's next for you?
Well, I'm going to make 50 years. At my 45th anniversary, I told the crew I want the last 3 minutes. Give me the last 3 minutes, and because I have something I want to tell everybody. And they're thinking that maybe I'm going to retire.
Oh, we all thought that was the announcement.
And I looked in the camera and I said, and I'm here to tell you, I'm going to make it to 50 years. And
Actually,
they breathed a silent relief.
She's a joker. She loves to trick you. And
I like to make people laugh.
Yes, you do.
I like to make people laugh.
I just want to say thank you for 48 years of doing this.
That's all her.
and for Robyn for bringing it, to the next level with you and stepping into those director's shoes and taking all the stuff that people do behind the scenes, but especially for letting me put her in front of a camera today. I just wish you all the best. We'll be there for you on 50. Can't wait to see it. Then you'll be talking about I'm making 55.
I know.
So
no stopping.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
Thank you, and God bless you.
Oh.
My standard closing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.